Welcome, welcome, welcome everyone to another amazing segment of the Black Girl Encourage Her. I am your girl, Shaniqua Inspires, and I am excited. I'm always excited. I know you guys say that all the time. Like, Shaniqua, you always excited. But my guests always get me excited. So I can't wait to introduce you all to today's guest. So I'm going to go ahead and bring her up to the stage so we can get this Encourage Her started. Come on up. Hey, girl. Hey. Lillie Mae, thank you so much for being a guest on the Black Girl Encourage Her. I am truly honored. And as I was sharing with you before we got started, I have been connected to you and your brand, I want to say about 2017. And you all were the very first opportunity that I got to be featured in Sheen magazine. So this is why I'm so excited to have you here today, because it's almost like into a full circle to be able to connect and to personally meet someone that was very influential in getting me started in this media industry, getting the exposure. So I am delighted to have you. Now, I don't know much about you personally. I know the professional side. I don't know much about you personally, but please share who is Lillie Mae with me and the audience.
Yes. Well, hello. And I'm so glad that you shared that with me, because I love full circle moments, and I love being instrumental, in other women's journey as business owners. So I'm glad you shared that with me. So yes, I am Lillie Mae. I was born in North Carolina, so I'm a Southern girl. I'm definitely a woman of faith. I went to UNC Chapel Hill, so I'm an educated woman. Okay.
Come on now.
And yes, I started my business over 10 years ago to help women get more visibility for their businesses, for their books, for their brands. And so for the past 10 plus years, I've been hosting events around the country. I've published numerous books. I've published books for other women. I've coached women. I've executed media campaigns. And so recently I've launched a membership, and it all, centers around getting more visibility and helping women to amplify their voices, reach more clients, more customers, and just, overall build their brand to where they desire it to grow.
I love it. I love it. So that right there already starts the questions popping into my head. So we can go ahead and get started. Why is visibility important? And you can answer that based off of business women or just people in general. Why is this thing called visibility so important?
It's very important because for someone to do business with you, they have to know you, they have to see you, they have to hear you, or they have to be referred to you. And visibility is at the center of that type of traction with potential clients and customers. So it's so important to be seen, to be heard, whether it's through a podcast, whether it's through an interview, whether it's through a live event, a speaking engagement, an email newsletter, whatever channels you use for visibility, those channels are exposing you to potential clients and customers. And so I always, remind entrepreneurs to take their visibility seriously and to be strategic about it.
I love it. I love it. It is important. And I've learned that. I've learned that in business. Now, what would you say to someone who they're shy? Why do I have to be the face of my business? I want to be in the background. I want to be the one working behind the scenes. What would you say to someone who would come to you with that type of comments?
Yeah, so there are creative ways to still gain visibility for your business without being the spokesperson, because that definitely is not everybody's ministry. Okay. Like, I am an encourager. So I do encourage people to be at the forefront of their business if that's where God has called them. But God has not called everyone to be the spokesperson. And so there are a lot of creative ways to get visibility without speaking, without getting on stages and doing podcast interviews. Many people use things like Facebook ads and email newsletters to automate their visibility, to bring in new clients that way. So there are definitely multiple ways to achieve the visibility you desire.
Well, what if you're that type of person? And truth be told, I'm like this. Like, I'm not that glam girl. Even though your brand is glambitious, like, I'm not really that glam girl. So some days I don't have my hair, looking right. Sometimes it won't act right. Sometimes I don't have my lipstick on. Like, so what would you say to somebody who has these type of struggles, or they use that type of excuse?
So I would say, people are really attracted to authenticity. So you don't have to show up live on Instagram, perfectly polished every single time. Some of the ladies that I know that have become millionaires in the space of women empowerment, they show up in the bed with the bonnet on, talking to their network and connecting to their community. They show up in the morning, first thing, fresh face in a robe, talking to their community. So they aren't showing up polished all of the time. And people are connecting to that genuine, authenticity. So you do not have to show up on Instagram Live perfect and polished every single time, because women, are attracted to people they can relate to. And we all know even Beyonce, has her days where she's not perfectly polished and curated. And so that would be, what I would say to that person is it's okay to not be glam every single time. I had a Zoom meeting recently with the members of the Glambitious Power Circle. And so I felt like a little pressed, like, oh, I should show up polished for them. And then I said, you know what? I'm going to show up in the evening without makeup on because I didn't wear makeup today. And then none of the ladies that were members wore makeup either. And they all were like, oh, I wasn't sure if I could cut my camera on. But since we see you natural and, your regular face today, we feel comfortable cutting on our Zoom cameras and making authentic connection without the glam. So it's totally okay.
I love it. I love it. And listen, I've been taking a page from that book, because when I jump on my treadmill in the morning and I hit my Facebook Live, oh, you're going to get whatever I woke up. This is how I woke up. So no, the eyebrows are not finely tuned and put in. The hair sometimes is in a headscarf. I always change from my nighttime headscarf to my daytime scarf. But that's all I can give sometimes. But you're right. It is about that authenticity. Now, I want to take it outside of the business realm, because not everybody who watches this platform is into the business mindset. What would you say to somebody who says, you know what, Lillie Mae, this is nice. You and Shanique with your, two pretty ladies, and you guys seem to have it all together. But you know what? That's not really my story. I feel like I lost that shine. I feel like I lost that ability to be upfront and center stage and to be confident in myself. What would you say to someone who feels as though they have lost their shine?
That's a great question. And I will be honest with you, there have been many moments in my journey where I felt the exact same way, where I did not have the energy to show up, where I did not have the energy to go live, to make connections, to speak on platforms and things like that. And so I would tell that person that they have not lost anything. They may just be in a season of slowdown. Sometimes God will allow us to slow down so that He can give us certain downloads about who we are, and we can really get back to the basics of who we are. Sometimes we need rest. So I would say to that person, pray to God and ask Him to reveal to you what season you are in. It could be possible that you haven't lost anything, but you're just in a season of rest. You're just in a season of pause, a season of reflection, or a season to strengthen your connection with God. And then once you've done that, then He'll catapult you back into the shine. And so that would be my advice to them, is just, pray to God and ask Him to reveal to you what season you're in, and then yield to that season. I definitely had a bit of a season last year where I felt like giving up on my business. And I was like, Lord, things are not lining up like I desire them to. I don't feel the energy that I normally feel about my business. What is going on? And one of my spiritual mentors said, it's your season of rest. So accept that and lean into that. Don't feel like you're missing out on anything. Don't compare your right now to somebody else's shine on Instagram. Yield into the season that God has you in, so that you can get from it what He desires you to get from it. And that's what I did. It was hard. There were tearful nights. I felt sad. I felt discouraged many times. But then January came around and everything sped back up. And I realized that sometimes it's like a slingshot effect, where it feels like you're moving backwards, but God is just preparing you for the takeoff.
Yeah. I love that. Woo, that's a good analogy. And we often despise those
Mhm.
seasons and those moments where we're being pulled back, right? Because they're uncomfortable. And this is not the direction in which we thought we were going to go. But like you said, sometimes it is God that's pulling us back so that we can take off. And I thank you for your transparency, because I think oftentimes people see, just women doing the darn thing, and they think that we don't ever have days, that we don't ever have these one-on-one conversations with ourselves and with God, questioning, is this really what you called me to do? You sure it was me that was supposed to do this? They think we have it all together. So thank you for, taking us a little bit backdoor to say, you know what, I have those moments too. Because we need to know, not necessarily to normalize it. Well, I guess it is to normalize it, to say we all go through it. The only difference is you don't stay there.
Exactly.
You don't stay there.
Mhm.
So, what would you say is the motivating factor that keeps you shining?
That's a great question. So I would say there's several things, that contribute to me continuing to show up. Number one, I was raised in poverty. And so being raised in poverty, it gives you a different type of ambition to never go back there. So there's that. Number two, my mom, I feel like she sacrificed everything so that I could be who I am today. And so I always, keep that in mind, that this, the Lillie Mae that everyone gets to see today is only because of the sacrifices that she made. So I have to show up. And then number three, I feel like, this is my purpose. And I feel like everyone has a purpose. And it's so important that we honor God by showing up in that purpose. And so that would be, like, I guess, a threefold answer to your question as far as what keeps me going.
I love it. I love it. Because sometimes we get off focus.
Mm-hmm.
Right? We start thinking about the work, and if the work is not turning out the way we anticipated it to turn out, then we shift. And now we upset, now we're disgruntled. So it is important to hone in on what are those internal factors that can't be swayed or confused with the world. So it's those internal grounding. So it's good to hear that you have those things. And this is what I want the audience to understand. You got to have those internal factors. Otherwise, all of the external stuff is going to knock you over every single time. So I love that you give credit to, realizing and recognizing where you came from, honoring the struggle in a sense, so that now you keep that same momentum to say, I'm grateful. And it helps to usher you forward. So I love that. Now, I've got to ask you this question. This is kind of like circling back to the business aspect.
Mm-hmm.
Why the name Glambitious?
Yes, that's a great question. And so I have always been a person that was very ambitious from the time that I was a child. And I've also been a person that just enjoys the glam. Okay. So I'm not like waking up every day putting on makeup by any means. But I do enjoy the glam part of being a woman. We get to change our hairstyles, we get to dress up, we get to tap into different looks. And so I liked the name Glambitious because to me, it shows little girls that you can be very beautiful and very intelligent. You can be very intelligent and hardworking. You can be very ambitious and still like the finer things in life. I feel like sometimes, the world wants to marginalize us and define us as how we should be, and like we are a monolith. And I feel like as women, we are many different things and we can show up in many different ways. And the Glambitious, brand and the name, I think it just speaks to that we are intelligent, we are hardworking, we are ambitious, and we do like the finer things in life. And all of that is okay.
I love it. I love it. Just from hearing you say that, I want to talk to the young girls. Now, I don't normally have an audience of young girls, but as soon as you started sharing and speaking that, one of my great niece, Sanai, hey girl, hey, my great niece Sanai is a young girl. She's coming of age, coming into, young womanhood. And I want to take a moment for you to speak life into these young girls, because I think sometimes with the whole social media stuff and everything's on display, I think sometimes they get a twisted image of who they should be and how they should be representing and carrying themselves. So can you speak a word of encouragement to the young girls, let's say from the ages of 12 to 16? Like, what would you say to them to encourage them to shine?
Yes, I would say, to anyone who is in that age range, that you are perfect just the way you are. You do not have to look like everyone else. You do not have to show up and do the things that everyone else is doing. You do not have to follow, the people who are popular in your school, because you are special, unique, and wonderfully made. Like, God really put you together. He created you exactly the way he wanted you to be. And even if the people around you can't see how special you are, know that you are very special. You have to believe in yourself, because the future you is going to be the person that you've dreamed about. So you have to work towards, just showing up as you are, loving yourself, accepting yourself, and being reminded that God made you perfect. You don't have to follow anyone, be like anyone, or compare yourself to anyone.
I love that. And truth be told, I felt that in my spirit. Even though I'm not in that age range, I still felt that in my spirit, because speaking now to the women of a certain age, right? That's us, of a certain age. Oftentimes it's that inner girl.
Mm-hmm.
It's that inner girl that was wounded and it never healed. And so we show up as an adult in a certain way. Right? Maybe we always have to have a beat face before we go even to like the supermarket. We at the gym with a beat face because there was a wound that occurred in our childhood that we overlooked. So now that we've targeted now that we've identified, like, yeah, you thought we were talking about, 12 to 16-year-olds, but really we're talking to the full-grown women. So what words could you share to that grown woman who was wounded back in that day?
I would say, you are not alone. I know oftentimes when we do have traumas that we have yet to work through, it feels like, we are alone in that trauma and in that experience. And just know that you are not alone. Most women, or I would even venture to say all, have had some form of trauma in their lives. And so don't feel like you're alone. Don't allow the enemy to do the why me trick with you. And, like something is wrong with you. And that's why you had that experience. Just know that any traumas or wounds that you have, you can heal from, and then you can go back and help others who have that exact same trauma and wound. So I encourage you to do the work in this season. I encourage you to yield into your faith, to connect with a therapist, and really go through the process of healing that wound so that you can help other women and other young ladies heal from the same wound.
I love it. I love it. That was like a ray of sunshine. But let's go there. Was there ever a time in your life where maybe you didn't shine so bright? You didn't see yourself so bright?
Oh, for sure. Definitely, as a child, growing up in poverty, but I was very intelligent, I was transferred to a school that had an academically gifted program. And so when I had to go to that school, none of my neighborhood friends were there. It was a school where people had very affluent parents. I remember one girl, she owned a horse. These were very affluent children from a affluent background. And I remember feeling a difference. Like I felt less than, because I knew that I had to get on the bus and go back to the other bus that takes me back to the hood. But these kids, they get to go back to these grand homes with horses in the backyard. And so I remember that being probably the earliest experience where I didn't feel good enough because of simply where I lived and where I grew up. And honestly, some of that I feel like stuck with me throughout life, to where I would catch myself not feeling good enough because of that wound, because of that trauma. And so I would say, again, to ladies who are watching, sometimes it's an ongoing process to continue to stay in your healed space. So you'll have a situation that triggers that feeling, but it's up to us as grown adult women to catch it, to not sit in it, to not linger in it, and not let the enemy use that to pull us backwards, because he will. He'll sow seeds that trigger that inner childhood wound to come back up and sabotage who God is calling us to be in this season.
Yes, I love it. And you hit the nail on the head with that trigger, baby. Those triggers is something real deal. And we do have to work on it continuously. So tell me and to the audience, what is it that Lillie Mae does on a daily basis to kind of get that shine, to kind of, you know, heal those wounds? What are you doing daily to keep you in that mindset?
That is a great question. So I am in constant communication with God, constant, right? So many of us who have grown up in the faith, you know, we were taught to pray over our food and pray before we went to sleep, right? But I've learned as an adult that true relationship involves constant communication. So just like if we're in a boyfriend-girlfriend relationship or a marriage, we're talking to that person throughout the day. I feel like that's how we should be operating with God. And that's how I, you know, keep my momentum up, keep my spirit up. You know, I'm very conscious of capturing thoughts. So what does the word say? Take thoughts captive. I think it's the word, to take your thoughts captive. So when I feel, you know, down, or I feel doubt, or I feel fear, anxiety, worry, all of those things, I stop in the moment, I cast those things down, and then I communicate with God like, Lord, in this moment, I need your joy, I need your peace, and I cast down the anxiety, I cast down the fear. Sometimes I sit in silence and listen to soaking music, which is instrumental music from, you know, the faith. So if you Google, you go on YouTube and put soaking music, it'll be a very anointed instrumental that you can listen to. And that also helps to calm me down sometimes, to allow me to be centered and present with God. Of course, I also read the word. I also watch a lot of virtual sermons on YouTube and things like that. So I just weave in the faith throughout every single day and make sure that I'm in constant communication with God.
Oh, I love that. I've never heard of that, the soaking music. I'm going to definitely take a look and see what it is, because it sounds like something that can be very calming.
Yeah.
One of the things that I do when I'm working throughout the day, I put on Mozart. I ain't never listened to Mozart, you know, except when I was back in college and I had took like this elective course on, you know, you have to take all of these different electives, but this is not something that's in my playlist. And I'm like, oh, I need some music. Let me put on some Mozart. But I heard that listening to that classical music is really good for stimulating the thoughts. And it does work. It helps to keep a steady productivity, but it gives your mind that comfort that there's something in the background. And it does help you to get that momentum going as you're working. Plus, it reminds me of all of the old school cartoons we used to watch with the symphony orchestra behind it. But I like that concept of just having that calming. It's like that worship. It's like a worship experience to have. So I love that. So thank you so much for sharing what it is that you do throughout your day on a daily basis to help to get you grounded. And yes, I agree with you that getting that relationship with God is key. Hands down, point blank, period. Get your relationship up and you will be good to go. Now, before I let you go, I need to hear about some of these great things that you're working on. What's in the planner? What does Lillie Mae's planner look like? What you got going on?
Yes, thank you for asking. Listen, the planner is full, okay? So like I mentioned earlier, I have the Glambitious Power Circle membership. And so I'm actively accepting new members, and membership includes the opportunity for members to attend my in-person events for free. It also allows you to speak inside of my Facebook group, which has about 2,000 members every single week, and promote your business. It also allows you to tap into a networking Zoom that we do bi-weekly so that you can network with other people. So I'm actively, you know, promoting that membership for entrepreneurs who desire community and visibility. I also have a brunch in Charlotte, North Carolina on March 30th. I have an all-white brunch in New Orleans during Essence Festival weekend on July 6th. And then I have the Atlanta conference on September 28th. And I'm actively accepting speakers, keynote speakers, and panelists who are looking for opportunities to speak at in-person events. So those are a few of the things that I'm working on. And if anyone is tuned in, you can visit my website, theglamceo.com. theglamceo.com. I also send out like 100 grant opportunities at the beginning of every month. So if you're on my email list, you'll find, funding and things like that you can apply for to support your vision as well.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Listen, I got to get this in here so that people can see it on the screen. We can get it in the description box because I don't want anybody to say that they missed anything that Lillie Mae was pouring out. Like, y'all don't even get this opportunity on a regular basis. So there we go. So we got the glamceo.com. Absolutely. So you've got a lot going on, and it's the PR in you, right? It's the believing in people, to helping people to see themselves and to get these stepping stones to be seen and to make the impact that we know that they are all making. And I've been on your in your connection, in your circle for a while now, and there are things that are affordable. So I don't want anybody, writing themselves off and saying, "Oh no, that's too much." There's a scale, like there's a range that fits every budget, every business, every goal. So I definitely encourage you all to make certain that you are checking that out. Now, you got a lot of stuff going on business-wise. What's Lillie Mae doing for herself?
Oh, that's a great question. What is Lillie Mae doing for herself? Well, honestly, my business is my passion. And so in addition to it feeling like a business, it also feels like a hobby. So I really enjoy and do spend a great bit of time on my business. But, for the personal life, I also like to do a lot of social activities. So for example, last night I went to see Gary Owens at the Comedy Zone, and he was absolutely hilarious. I love going to comedy shows. I love singing as well. And so oftentimes I'll sing back up for some of my friends who are singers. I'll go with them and we'll sing to a live band and things like that. I love doing that. All types of festivals and, things that just allow you to get outside. I also love traveling. So I usually travel very frequently. So those are some of the things I do outside of my business just for me.
I love it. But you are actually at the epitome of what I visualize of a business. Your business should be something that you love. It should be a way of, for me, that's the type of industry that I'm in. I understand that not everybody's in that type of industry, but as a speaker, as a trainer, as a coach, like that's how I envision that my business and my lifestyle become a way of being. So whether you're going to Atlanta for a conference, whether you're going to Essence Festival for a conference, like you make your business into the things that you like to do personally. You never know. There might be a glam-ambitious karaoke night or something likened to that. You just never know. But I think as women, we have that autonomy, right? And that's what business is supposed to do. Like it's supposed to give you that autonomy to create the lifestyle that you desire. So I'm not even mad at you that a lot of your world is consumed by your business, but you've made your business fun as well. Like, so the networking, the connection, like that becomes fun. It's socialization. So I love that. And I love that for myself. I love it for you, but I love that for myself as well. Now, two things before I let you go. One, what part of North Carolina are you in?
So I'm very close to Charlotte, North Carolina. That's the big city that most people recognize. So I'm very, very close to Charlotte, North Carolina. And it really is like a baby Atlanta. So for 14 years, I lived in Atlanta, and then I relocated back to the Charlotte area in 2019.
Okay, nice. Because, and the reason I asked that, because my mom is from North Carolina. She's from Troy, North Carolina.
Okay.
And my Aunt Sarah, who frequently watches this show, is in Greensboro, North Carolina. So I've got family all throughout. We've got High Point,
Wow.
Winston-Salem. So we're all embedded throughout the North Carolina area. So I know they watching like, why didn't she ask her what part? Because they would ask me afterwards, well, what part was she from? So there you go, ladies. You got the answer. She's round about the Charlotte area. So that satisfies my mother and my aunt, who are faithful viewers of the Black Girl Encourage Her. Now, the last question. And you've done a lot of encouragement, and you've done it from your heart. We felt it, and we appreciate you for it. The last question is, just in case somebody was not moved, somebody was just, you brought them forward and now they're at the edge. What words of encouragement can you leave with us to kind of just meditate and marinate on as we go about the week? Give us something, some sweet parting words.
Sure. What came to me was, I think it's Jeremiah 29:11. For I know the plans that I have for you, plans to prosper you and not harm you, and plans to give you a great future. And so I think it's very important that we hold that particular scripture close to our heart, so that we're reminded that no matter what it looks like right now, no matter what it feels like today, God does have a great future in store for us, and what's ahead of us is greater than what's behind us. So it's very important that we really hold that close and be reminded that God is sovereign. So we have to trust his sovereignty, and we have to trust his timing. And again, it's not always going to feel good. It's not always going to look good. But if you can trust that the same God that created the sun, the moon, the stars, and the ocean, he also created me. He also created you. There's something powerful in that. There's something special in that. And that calms me and lets me know that, hey, I'm on his mind. He has not forgotten about me, and he has not forgotten about you either.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. We got to take heart in that and ground ourselves in the scripture. And at the very least, if you don't see yourself as beautiful and bountiful, take God's eyes, like take on the eyes of Christ and be able to see yourself, because he does see that beauty inside of each and every one of us. Lillie Mae, it was an absolute pleasure. Will you hang out for a second? Let me give the people their marching orders. Listen, everybody, that was so good. I'm telling you, it just did something to my spirit. I hope that you all have enjoyed tonight's segment of the Black Girl Encourage Her. Make certain that you are checking out Lillie Mae's information in the description box. For those of you who are on my mailing list, you already know. You just got to go back into your email and click on the clickable links and get connected to her. So I want to encourage each and every one of you. Don't let this be a fly-by-night. Make certain that you connect with Lillie Mae. Tell her you saw her on the Black Girl Encourage Her when you get in there, so she knows that you've been following and you've been watching, and just sit and glean what it is that you can get from being a part of her network. You know why? Because she's seeing beauty in all of us. So if we got to borrow her eyes, we're going to borrow her eyes so that we know that we are worth seeing. So until next time, you all have an abundantly blessed day, and I'll talk to you again on the next segment of the Black Girl Encourage Her.